This episode of The Highlight Zone has been brought to you by Diet Coke. Need a refreshing zero-calorie refreshment? Try a Diet Coke today.
Ooh, nice.
That's refreshing.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of Twilight Zone reviews. A journey into a wondrous land of intoxication where a father, son, and guest drink and retell episodes of The Twilight Zone.
There is a fifth dimension.
Stay tuned because your next stop is The Highlight Zone After Hours.
The Twilight Zone.
And welcome to the season 2 of the Highlight Zone. I am one of your two hosts. I am Steve.
This is Kelly.
And our special guest today is awesome because we're starting off the second season with pro audio. Doesn't this sound good?
This sounds great. Yeah, I love this.
And who better to start off our second season as a special guest than our official announcer, my wife, Sarah Crellin. What's up, baby?
Oh, hey! Not to mention the creator of the Highlight Zone name.
Okay, so you're just going right into
Trademark?
your credits of what you've done.
Yeah, I don't see that printed out on here. I'm just making
Narration
sure.
of each
Yeah.
episode, all of it.
I do voiceovers. I do logos.
So we are here today, and we are really pumped for season 2 of the Highlight Zone and season 2 of the Twilight Zone. And we're going to start with 3 episodes 1, 2, and 3 of season 2. So, Dad, we have been drinking already. If you can hear,
Diet Coke.
Sarah got me doing the slurp sound in here, but we have our Long Island's ready. We just got done drinking before. So we'll see how this goes.
We are getting lit, remember? Long
Island iced teas, which stand for your... Okay, so I've been re-listening to our last episode. Shot. Story. Hook. I don't remember what the O is for, and then there's T is twist.
Originality. And twist.
So I'm already very curious about your shot analysis on each of these because I'm going to be honest, I can't stop thinking about the shot analysis when I rewatch these ones. So I don't know, you didn't listen to it, but he has an analysis based on the word shot and his rating system. So you'd have to go back and listen. But she doesn't listen to the show. She's the official announcer that has yet to listen to
There's
one.
a lot of things that Sarah starts.
Yeah.
It gets us all sucked
right
in.
back to Yahtzee.
It does again. Those of you that play Yahtzee, don't accept
Don't play Sarah.
Do not
Don't
accept a
accept her
challenge for
challenge.
Sarah if you expect to play Yahtzee.
If you do accept, you will get 5 games with her because she doesn't know how to stop playing.
The problem is after you play once, she won't play back. So you end up watching it just go
Leave
into
you high and
oblivion.
dry.
It's great.
So just so we're clear, who's doing episode 1? Are you doing this one or am I doing this one?
No, you are
I'm
doing
doing
this one.
first one, right? Which is weird because usually I'm more drunk while doing it. So this will be the first one where I don't repeat everything that I've said multiple times. So to start the Highlight Zone off after hours, season 2, episode 1 of the Twilight Zone, I'll be reviewing King 9 Will Not Return, which was aired on September 30th, 1960, written by Rod Serling and directed by Buzz Kulik. Buzz Kulik, what a cool name. And this is a cool episode, but I have some... I don't know, I guess you could say some strong opinions on it. This is Africa, 1943. War spits out violence overhead, and the sandy graveyard swallows it up. Her name is King 9, a B-25, medium bomber, 12th Air Force. On a hot, still morning, she took off from Tunisia to bomb the southern tip of Italy. An errant piece of flak tore a hole in its wing tank, and like a wounded bird, this is where she landed, not to return on this day or any other day. Okay. Interesting already. It doesn't end with the word Twilight Zone in it. It just ended like that. And if you're watching this episode, by the way, if you want to go and watch these, where do you go, Dad? Paramount Plus.
Well, first I go to the bathroom.
Oh,
so
my
I don't-
God.
I'm
All
not
right.
interrupted. But
Okay.
then I go to Paramount Plus.
If you're watching this one, it starts off looking kind of like that scene in a Close Encounters. There's a desert and a whatever. This plane is a
Yep.
B-25, just grounded with Nazi logos on the side for the bombings and stuff like that. So it's interesting, and it goes on like that. So anyway, the whole point of this episode is it starts off with one guy, and his name is Captain James. What is his name? Captain James something or other. And he is in this plane in this desert by himself. And he is looking for his crew. And he's in this plane and he's walking around and he doesn't see anything that's going on. And he's trying to find his crew and he's aimlessly kind of walking around and looking and examining the plane. He's on the inside of the plane. He's walking around the outside of it. Things keep on happening Like, for example, he's walking around outside. By the way, this guy's kind of a dick. I'm not a huge fan of this guy because he's walking around. He's like, all right, you guys, where are you? And he's yelling for his crew. He finds an empty canteen bottle or one, and he's like, oh, you idiot, Smith. You know, you left your canteen. It's the desert, blah, blah, blah. So he's walking around, and he's talking crap and, like, trying to find his missing crew. Well, then he's walking around, and he sees in the cockpit of the plane a person. And he's kind of like laughing at him. And he's got this kind of goofy smile. And he's like, hey, come here. And as he runs closer, there's a very cool effect. I don't know if you saw this. I think it's an effect that I could do today on my iPhone. But back then it was pretty cool. They took a transition angle from a guy in a plane with a camera zooming in. Then they clearly mixed it with the exact same camera angle with no one in the cockpit. So the guy faded away when he got close to the cockpit. So anyway, he's walking around. Now he starts not understanding. He just saw this guy. Was it a mirage? Blah, blah, blah. And so he's going through the motions, and he, in the distance, sees his entire crew on this hill. And he's running around, and he's trying to get to them. I think I skipped over a part, but that's okay. And he goes over there, and he's running, and he's like, guys, what are you doing? And they're not listening to him. They're not acknowledging him. They're almost just staring off into nothingness. So he's doing his thing, and he's trying to figure this out. And it's getting weirder. And then he sees the canteen, and he's yelling at this guy to whatever the guy's name is. Do you remember his name, what he's yelling?
Well, one of them's named Klein.
Okay, maybe it's Klein, Kline, because that's what's on the canteen.
He's on the tombstone, and he's also on the canteen.
So after he finds the canteen, he's like, Klein, you idiot, you left your canteen. It's the desert, blah, 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 blah. So he walks further into the desert, and he sees a cross, a grave. And it says, like, Lieutenant Klein, born and died, yada, yada. So he's like, oh, man, I'm sorry about that, Klein. You could have done it, or whatever he says, something like that. So then later he sees the crew standing there, and he runs at them, and they're not answering, and he's trying to figure out what is going on. And I don't, for the life of me, I just rewatched this today. There's a transition. How does it transition to what's really happening? Because here's where the twist comes in.
Well, he runs after them on the dune. They disappear.
Yeah.
Screen to black. Next scene opens up. He's laying in bed.
Okay, so that is the. So there was no real transition. It was exactly what I said.
Yeah,
Cool.
there was. They turned the camera off and went into the studio.
Spot on. Okay, cool. So he goes over, and then the camera faces back and comes back, and he is in a hospital. Oh, no, wait a minute. It's before that. He sees jet airplanes flying around, and he goes, what are those? I've never seen aircraft like that before. It's supposed to be 1942 or whatever.
Right.
And he's like, what are those? I know what those are. And this is all in his head. He's hearing, he goes, jets. That's a jet aircraft. Blah, blah, blah. That's a P-16 or whatever. He's listing off the names of these types of aircraft that clearly don't exist in the 40s. So then does it then fade to black? It then fades, or?
He sees the planes. Then he sees his crew. So
Okay, I skipped the planes part before he sees the crew. So
when they disappear, fade to black, hospital scene.
Okay, so something's up with the timeline because he's clearly acknowledging that there's jet aircraft that don't exist. You know something's up. He wakes up in this hotel bed, and it's these two doctors. Well, he doesn't really wake up. He's in bed, and it's the doctor and like the assistant, and they're talking. They're like, yeah, he saw this newspaper article, which was, what did it say? It said bomber run found or whatever.
Yeah, lost aircraft for 14 years, found in desert.
Found in desert. He goes, it really shook him up. So then he kind of like wakes up a little bit, and they're like, hey, relax, you're fine, you're here. And he's like, I don't know what happened. I was there. So you get the idea that he saw this the newspaper, and it put him into a PTSD like flashback, hardcore of that. And they go, yeah, the poor guy's been struggling because he was supposed to be on that flight. He was supposed to be the pilot of that flight, but he got sick or something, right? Something happened. I don't remember the finite detail of it.
He didn't say what it was. He just never, he didn't make the flight.
He didn't make that flight, and it's been haunting him for his entire life ever since.
TSA pulled him out for a special check. By the time he got through,
Full body
the
scan.
bomber had taken off. It sucks.
Your keys and your phone, sir.
Yes. Your shoes.
Yes.
Do you have a laptop?
Belts.
I don't even know what a laptop is. Well, sir. Then
Wouldn't it be weird if he saw airplanes and he goes, I should really get this on my iPhone? No, anyway, bad joke. So anyway.
He did say though that he spiraled before, but this is one of the first times that he has seen jets during that. He goes, well, there was jets in there this time or something. He acknowledged that there were jets in his weird flashback state that weren't there before last time he had this episode.
So he clearly remembers going back. In his mind, he was there at the scene of the crash.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Well,
In
I mean,
his mind,
In his
he
mind.
wasn't-
Yeah. It's like being
Yeah.
sent to like a limbo that he keeps putting himself through.
Right. Yeah. So then they go, he's been struggling with this, blah, blah, blah. Relax. You're fine. Then the twist comes in at the very end. If that wasn't already the twist. By the way, at this point, I'm not a huge fan because I hate anything where the entire thing is a dream. I really detest that. So at this point, my rating is like a 5 or a 4. I'm not enthralled by this. There's nothing going on. And then the very end, they throw in the little Twilight Zone twist, which is they start taking his uniform away or whatever, and they drop one of his shoes, and out comes a whole ton of sand. Like he actually was there walking around. Am I getting that correct?
That's absolutely correct. And without the T for twist in shot, all you have is a shoe. And in this case, that shoe is full of sand.
Come on. That was great. Cut to the ending narration. Enigma buried in the sand. A question mark with broken wings that lies in silent grace as a marker in a desert shrine. Odd how the real consorts of the shadow. Odd how the real consorts with shadows. How the present fuses with the past. How does it happen? The question is on file in the in a silent desert, and the answer is waiting for us in the Twilight Zone.
That it is.
So. I didn't butcher it, but it wasn't a whole lot to say. It was kind of a simple episode. And to be honest, today's TV standards, you wouldn't allow a lackluster premiere for a second season. You always have to start with a bang. And I think that there are 2 episodes in these first 3 that are better. This episode for me has a 6. And its IMDb rating is a 6.6. So Sarah and Dad, what do you guys think?
Sarah, you want to go first? I'm
For
just
my
laughing
rating?
too hard, so you
I-
go on.
Oh,
I've got something.
Okay. Sarah, do yours.
I would give it a 5. I agree. I think a lot of those ones that would say that you're all of a sudden, it was a whole time, it was a dream, is such a hacky move. But I think sometimes it's done okay. I think this one was interesting because it dealt more with guilt than it did just being in a dream state and you're self-conscious. But I like that he can't stop thinking about what could have been. I think a lot of people do that. That's a topic that comes up. But and dealing with it by putting yourself at the crash constantly is such a dark thought. But I didn't mind the fact that it was a dream, I guess. But
yeah,
it's definitely a hacky move.
If it didn't end with the sand and the shoes, then
it's
it would
way
be
more
hacky, right?
Yeah.
I hate any of the ones that end up
I
in a
would
big.
say like a
So,
5.5.
okay, I cannot. Well, we don't have points here.
Oh,
you got to
sorry,
round
5.
up. Okay. I cannot wait for this because he's clearly laughing his ass off. I don't know what is happening over here.
Okay, so as I'm watching this episode, I'm looking for the things that don't ring true. And in the very beginning, he's by this airplane, and the actual first scene, he's laying in the desert near it. So he wakes up from being unconscious, and he sees the plane from a distance. As he's walking around the plane, as Steve said, he goes to the back, and he puts his hand on the rear rudder, and the rudder falls off.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
this is not a recent crash. This plane has been out
been here
there
for a
for
minute.
20 years, and it shows it.
Yeah.
And yet it's laying there pristinely in the sand. The props are bent, obviously, but there's rubble strewn all over. So you're wondering, where did that rubble come from?
Right.
Because the aircraft is really intact,
Yeah.
except for the rear rudder that he just touches
That he
and
just
it falls apart.
Right.
So then the second thing is, and social correctness is so important these days. And remember, this was made back in 1960, right?
Right.
Do you remember the name of the guy that he kept calling out? And this isn't Klein. He calls out Jim Enez. Jim Enez. Okay, everybody think about this. What is Jim Enez? It's a Hispanic
Name Jimenez.
Jimenez. But he is saying Jim
Oh, he
Enez.
is. I remember this. He
I
says it in such a weird way.
That
Yeah.
struck me as so normal for 1960.
Yeah.
When he's just reading this thing and he doesn't have any understanding of, hey, maybe someone is going to take offense. My name's Kelly, so I can appreciate this. My whole life, including last week, when I get people calling me that have never met me, they assume I'm a woman because of the name Kelly.
yeah.
So I've lived with that for many, many years.
I get that with people just hearing my voice. I get called a girl every time
Yeah,
I call
you still
customer
say,
service.
"This is Steven," and they
I'm
go, "Hi,
always,
ma'am."
Yeah, yes, ma'am. And I'm like, well, I'm a sir. They're like, okay, ma'am, can I help you? And I'm like, oh my God.
So I'm not trying to be picky here, but I found that to be so fascinating. Jim Enez,
Yep.
where are you? And
Jim
I'm
Enez.
thinking,
It's like
Jim
saying
Enez,
Jesus instead of Jesus as a
if
name.
he was there, he'd be flipping you off right now.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, on the upside, I give this thing kudos because this is a one-man play when you think about it, except for the last 2 minutes.
That's true.
This is 20 minutes of one guy going in and out of hallucinations, talking to his crew, getting excited to seeing his crew, wondering how they can get the plane airworthy again. He goes through every emotion, and it's one guy.
Yeah.
That's a hard
See, that's
thing
how I
to
felt
do.
about mine, but we'll save that.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. One of the things with the Twilight Zone in general is that they like to use these minimalistic sets and crews because it's on a shoestring budget back then. They didn't have a whole hell of a lot. And a lot of these stories are narration heavy. So it's one person in one room or two people with heavy dialogue, But you're totally right. What's your rating on it?
I gave it a 7 because I found just a couple of interesting. It wasn't one of the best. It's never going to be on a highlight reel, but it's interesting for several reasons. As I pointed out and as we've talked about, I always love the World War II genre.
Right.
When they're acting it out, and this will be my final jab at this in this moment, and that is, and if you listen to the last episode, Steve brought this to light one more time, and that is, in military episodes, that goddamn Darren from Bewitched. All I can
I was
say
waiting
is
for
I'm
Darren to come
so
back.
glad that this was not Darren.
Darren, right.
He was so much better than Darren that it made it a 7 instead of a 6.
Oh,
for me.
the lack of Darren.
The lack
Just so
of
we're
Darren.
clear, you do know that in season 2 of The Twilight Zone, Darren is back.
No, I'm dreading that.
Yeah, get ready because it's coming up in like 7 episodes.
Yep.
So one piece of trivia, if you go look up the trivia, most of it is military aircraft trivia. Like we said before, the Twilight Zone loves listing off military aircraft. So if you go look up the trivia, most of it's that. But this one I did think was interesting, and I read it to her. This is loosely based on a true story, which is one of those weird-ass ones like that other military one that we did before, based on the mysterious discovery of the Lady Be Good, a U.S. Air Force B-24 bomber that vanished in 1943 after a bombing run on Naples, Italy. It was discovered in the Libyan desert almost a decade and a half later in 1959 by an oil exploration team, well preserved by the desert environment. The next year, the bodies of 8 of the 9 crew members were recovered. The date of the crash was April 5th, 1943, as inscribed on the gravesite in the episode.
So what
That's
you're
wild,
what
right?
you're telling me is they were close enough to this discovered crash that they know which plane it was. They even have the name for it.
Yeah.
But it took them a year to realize there's 10 mummified bodies inside it.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know.
Say, what were they buried under sand?
Sand. I mean, so,
How much?
I don't know what else it would be.
I mean, like
If
rubble,
you can read the
or were they
name on the
far
side
away?
of the cockpit, there's a cockpit. You look inside, there's definitely a pilot.
Yeah.
Or
That's what I'm
was a
saying.
pilot.
Like there wasn't much.
But it
they
took
go
'em a
went
year?
flying. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Let's move on.
All right, so we'll scoot along to the next episode where we pass it off to Dad is taking this
There we
one
go.
up. Kelly.
This episode 2, is The Man in the Bottle. It aired on October 7th, 1960, directed by Don Medford, and we all know who wrote this. Rod Serling.
Oh my God.
Baby.
Sterling silver.
So, this story, Mr. and Mrs. Arthur Castle, gentle and infinitely patient people whose lives have been a hope chest with a rusty lock and a lost set of keys. Now, doesn't that ring true to almost anyone that's listening to this? But in just a moment, that hope chest will be opened, and an improbable phantom will try to bedeck the drabness of these two people's failure-laden lives with the golden precious stones of fulfillment. Mr. and Mrs. Arthur Castle, standing on the outskirts and about to enter the Twilight Zone.
See, they said it in this one, not the first one.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, by the way, real quick, when you guys watch the intro, this isn't in the trivia. The intro narration by Rod Serling starting in season 2, did you notice that he has a little bit of sass in his voice
he
when
does,
he
yeah,
says
yeah.
the word Twilight Zone? Before, it was, you're entering a dimension and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Welcome, the Twilight Zone. In this season, he says it in a way that's like, and welcome to the Twilight Zone.
Oh, he does other shit.
he
Wait till we
changes
get
it,
to-
like-
Wait till we get to your episode, what he does in the initial.
I just did my episode.
Well, then it's Sarah's.
Sarah's,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sarah's. He lets it loose a little bit in the second season.
It's almost like
obvious.
he's sick of. Can we curse on this?
Yes,
We
of
can curse on
course.
this. It's almost like he's sick of everyone's shit. Like you guys didn't learn the first season. You're in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
you're gonna get stuck
You're gonna
in there.
Is shit a curse word?
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I
mean-
could have said sheet.
no,
Okay.
it is not a curse word, but you're good. You're allowed to say whatever you want on the show.
You're good.
I don't know if you. Once
I don't
again,
think you have rules.
Come on, you need to listen to
I
this
don't
show.
listen
It's
to
so
any podcast. It's not a bias thing.
What do you?
And again, we're sponsored by Diet Coke.
Diet Coke.
And you can find
Try
us on
Diet Coke
Paramount
today.
Plus.
Yeah. You can find us on the All Things Geek Network and wherever you get your podcast. Share it with your
The
friends.
only one that can't find us on any of those things is
Sarah.
Yeah. What are you guys on Spotify? Or?
Oh my God. We're on Spotify. All right, go ahead.
All
Dad.
right.
Sorry
So
about
anyway, this one goes back to those of you that have been listening to my narrations on others. It falls into a regular theme, which happens to strike a chord with me. So I thought it was good. So anyway, this is an old antique shop. You got this middle-aged couple. They're down on their luck.
that. Whoa, middle-aged couple?
Well, they're probably 25
They
back
are
then, but
well
they
back.
look. Okay, because remember, in this
You
show,
are so right.
most 50-year-olds to me, they say they're 35.
These people are clearly in their 60s.
Oh, these are
but in this show, I guarantee you they would have been like,
They're like
these are-
45.
Rod and Judy in their late 40s.
These
like,
are
what?
these are
That's what they
caners.
said about my guy in my episode. I'm like,
This is what-
These are,
Yeah.
these are true
are we
caners.
sure?
Yes.
Except
Rough
in the
years.
show. So they're in this old antique shop that he's owned for 3 generations, he and his dad and his granddad, and they're just losing money like crazy. And an old lady comes in, and she's down on her luck. She gives him a wine bottle and says, "This is an antique. What can you give me for it?" And he just looks at her and shakes his head. He knows her. She says, "I'll take $1." So he reaches into the cash register, gives her $1. And as she's leaving, she thanks him, and then she has to admit, "I just found this wine bottle laying on the ground, and I brought it in." And he said, "I wish I could have given you more." So there's the heartwarming piece. This guy really has a soul and a heart, and he cares about people, even though they're not making any money. Well, his
Yeah,
wife,
to like a fault because his wife is pissed about it.
oh shit, she hears about this upstairs in the attic where they've got hostages. I guess she was feeding them. She comes
Caged.
down, gets pissed because she looks at the register and it shows no sale, and so she knows what he's done. So anyway, while they're looking at the bottle, and they're arguing back and forth, and the bottle falls on the floor, and the cork pops out. And right after that, smoke starts billowing out the neck of the bottle, which is pretty cool. So you're following along with the I Dream of Jeannie and the whole Jeannie get-up story, and out of the mist appears this dude. Now, he is not the I Dream of Jeannie. He would not look good in a bikini, I guarantee you. But he starts, he says,
You look good in that vest, though.
There you go. I'll give you, this is the interesting twist. He gives him 4 wishes instead of 3.
I did think
this
that
must
was
be
weird.
A special
He's rounding
bonus
even numbers.
Genie
Yeah.
bottle, I guess.
Yeah, but also the genie bottle looked like a Chianti bottle. Like
It was a Chianti. She said she found it on this.
she said she
street
found it in the
outside.
trash, right?
Yes.
And it was like, what is this? I've never seen a genie
It's
come
got
out
that
of
like
a-
wicker bottom.
The wicker bottom. Yeah.
The ones that you see decoration
So-
oreganos. Brought to you by oreganos.
That's exactly what this
For
is.
all your cheese curds. Your breadstick needs oreganos. When you're here, your family. Sorry, that's not it.
That's Olive Garden. All
I
right,
just
go
can't
ahead.
think
Go
of it.
ahead.
There
Go
we
ahead.
go.
Sorry.
So the guy says, "I'll give you 4 wishes." They don't believe him. The wife says, "We're going to call the cops. You're pulling something on us. We don't believe you." And he says, "Well, you can call Scotland Yard. You can call whoever you want. Is that what your first wish is going to be?" So all of a sudden, he's calling their bluff. And the guy says, "No, wait a minute. I'm not going to waste one of 4, even if it's just bullshit. I'm not going to waste one on just calling the cops. So no, let's talk about this for a little bit." And he says, as a test, they have a display case and it's cracked. And the guy says, "Okay, prove to me that you're a real genie and these wishes are true. Fix the break in the glass." And the genie looks at him and then looks at the glass, and miraculously the glass fixes itself, which is sort of a cool special effect.
It was a very cool special effect, and honestly, I was talking about it with Sarah. It's a smart first way to test your genie because
Absolutely.
it's almost no risk.
Yeah. Well, that yeah,
Almost.
they don't remember that in about 3 more
No
minutes.
joke.
So at that point, then they're trying to figure out what's their second wish, and of course, everyone wants to have money. So they ask for $1 million in 5s and 10s. I love this guy. All of a sudden, from the ceiling drops money. And to have $1 million in 5s and 10s, that's a lot of bills. So he's buried up to like his knees
It's a
in
good thing
money
he didn't ask
that's
for change.
fallen down. And so they get the money. The next scene goes to them handing out money to all their friends. I guess everyone in the neighborhood heard that they had discovered money. Even the priest from the local parish is in there, and they give the priest or the pastor a wad full of money. They're giving all sorts of people this money, and when the last one leaves, there's a little scrawny dude, typical IRS agent, even back in the 60s. And he says, no, I'm with the IRS, and you want $1 million. You've got $1 million. You earned $1 million, whatever you did to get this $1 million. Your taxes. Now, think about this in 1960. He factored in the taxes on $1 million of income, $947,000. And he gives them a receipt and said, now you can pay this. And they're looking at each other like, oh, God, we just gave away to all these old caners and kroners all this money. So he starts counting the money out, and they end up, after paying the bill, or what they're going to have to pay, $5.
You know what? There's a sad moment in this that I actually really liked. Is remember when the IRS agent leaves, he kind of stops outside the front door and looks
Right.
back, and they're both just leveled. Like, seriously good acting. They're very sad, and he gets in that mound of money, and they're like licking their thumbs, starting to count individual dollars. I'm like, you just asked for $1 million in fives and tens, and you're gonna start hand counting it, you idiots! Like,
Well,
what is this?
There's no accounting for
Common
smartness
sense.
in
But
this.
it was so sad. I was like, oh my God.
Okay, so now he's got 2 left. Third wish. And the guy's really scratching his head. Okay. First thing he thinks of, it turns to his wife. We'll have more wishes. We'll wish for more wishes. And the genie says, sorry, man, that's a no-go in this clubhouse. You can't wish for more wishes. So he starts thinking, the husband, what is it that cannot be taken away? If I'm a ruler, okay, but I have to be a ruler that has ultimate power. I can't be removed from office. But it's got to be in this century, and it's got to be in a foreign country, not the U.S.
Yeah, he's very clear. It has to be like, what did he say? Like a modern country. Something like that. So I actually like that because I'm going through my head.
A contemporary.
That's it. Okay, good job.
Country.
God, you write such good notes. That is such
See,
good
it's-
note
it's
writing.
important.
He's holding it in his hand. He literally
In my-
had that. It's so
what?
amazing. In your hand. You're
thank
holding
you.
it.
Okay, glad you clarified that.
Didn't I just say hand? What did I say?
I heard
Sort of a
panned,
panned. I
but
didn't
yeah,
know if
I
it was
heard panned as
panned.
well.
Hey,
But
man.
you know,
Where, whatever.
The Long Islands are aflowing. I tell you, this
As
is what
long as
happens
it
when I
holds
go
paper,
first.
man, I'm all for it. So he thinks about it, and without naming the country, he says a contemporary country and a foreign country. The genie instantly grants him his wish, and here you are in the bunker of Berlin, 1945. There's Hitler ready to commit suicide because he knows that he's done. So his lieutenant comes in and gives him the suicide vial and says, if you take this, Ava Brown's already, we'll take care of her. And when you finished, we've already got the gasoline on the surface because they're going to cremate him, which is how Hitler was cremated
Right.
by his crew. So he's thinking, oh my God, because he knows full on that this was his wish, and now he's completely screwed. So he says, I just wish things could go back to the very beginning. And poof, he's back there in the shop. And he's talking to his wife, and it almost appears as if she doesn't know what's been going on this. Because he's so happy and relieved that he's back to normal. And they're talking about it again. The genie is not there anymore because this was the 4th wish. So the genie's done his job. And he looks at her and he says, this life is not so bad. You know, it could be worse. And of course he knows because he was Hitler 2 minutes before,
'Cause he was in a
about
bunker.
to take cyanide. And while they're talking, the bottle falls and breaks on the floor. And they're sweeping it up. And they're having I hate to use the word loving in this kind of
No, it is.
Twilight Zone.
I
But
felt
it was cute.
It was,
It was very cute.
sensitive to older people that are scrounging to make every penny.
2 mid-20-year-olds.
Two 20-year-olds. You can tell
Fresh
they,
out of
you can tell
college.
they love each other. And they're sweeping up. And while you're sweeping up the broom handle, folks, here's this twist. The classic Twilight Zone twist. What does the
Classic
broom
shot.
handle do? It breaks the display case glass, which was his very first test wish, which I thought was a fantastic
Well,
I
way
do love
to
that
end
full circle
Wait,
moment.
what I liked more than that was their reaction to it. They both just looked at it and started laughing.
They
like
both laugh. Yeah, they're laughing about
they're
it.
like, "What in the hell did we just? What was the last half hour of, or what? However long it
What
was
a wash.
a day?
An absolute
What just
wash.
happened?"
And I think I said to you, before he broke it, she said, well, at least we came out on top and the glass was fixed, and then he broke it.
Yeah.
Because I said that's something I would have said. Well, at least we don't have $1 million.
glass.
We're not rulers, but our glass is fixed.
Yeah.
So-
And it's not.
Now,
So they sweep up the glass, they throw it away, and the last scene is in the garbage can. The pieces of the bottle morph back into a complete bottle again,
Yep.
because the genie did say he only comes around once every 100 years.
yeah, he did very clearly say that. He goes, I'm going to go back into this bottle for another century or whatever. But you know what? I found that kind of weird because I like the idea of the bottle coming back together, setting up someone else for the same failure.
Right.
Because I thought that was how they got it. Like, they just found it because she said, I just found it in the trash.
She could have had the wishes, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but he did say that he goes back for 100 years or another century.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the glass bottle assembling and then anybody else taking it. So it could be a continuous cycle of morons screwing it up. And not even really morons, by the way, because I would have done almost everything that he did except for that last one. You know?
Well, talk about a boring life for a genie. He just granted 4 wishes that did absolutely nothing, and now he has to wait another 100 years for someone to do the same thing.
I think he's union, so he doesn't care.
He's union
The genie's union.
means nothing.
The
to
Genie
him now.
502, local
local
support your
502.
local 502 Genie
So
Union.
he's got 100 years to party on.
Is there
All right,
more
and he gets
bottles?
paid.
Wait,
for
wait.
that.
Read your closing narration, and then I need your score.
All right. A word to the wise now, to the garbage collectors of the world, to the curio seekers, to the antique buffs, to everyone who would try to coax out a miracle from unlikely places. Check that bottle you're taking back for a 2-cent deposit. The genie you save might be your own. Case in point, Mr. and Mrs. Arthur Castle, fresh from the briefest of trips into the Twilight Zone.
So I have chills all over. This is one of my favorite closing narrations. After rewatching this a second time, I love that because no one really got hurt. Sarah and I, you were talking about this the other day. It was a wash. It was how much did they make? $5.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But they went through hell figuring this out.
go
And they
right
made
to
a
the
bunch of
glass
neighbors
repair.
very happy who needed the money. So they all came out ahead. The neighbors got to keep
You know
the money.
what?
Yeah,
I
what the
I
heck?
never thought about that. The neighbors came out on top. They didn't get shit, but the neighbors all got
Well, until they
stacks
have
of cash.
tax, until they have their tax day.
Yeah. All right. So what's your overall score on this one?
I gave it an 8. I thought that it was a neat twist on the genie. The genie's theme has been
Agreed.
talked about countless times, but I talked about how it has to be original. And I thought that it was a neat twist on how he went back and thought about what he was going to wish for, and he still fucked it up every single time with his wishes. And to have the bottle regenerate, but at the end, this 20-something couple, they still clung to each other. I thought it was a sweet story.
Yeah, I did
I
like
thought it was
that.
sort of a neat little love story, and I love the way the story played itself out. So I gave it an 8.
I gave it a 7. I thought it was cute and fun, and it did provoke some thoughts and discussions that we had. What about you?
I'd say a 7.
Okay.
By the way, I was too harsh on the first one. I think I was a 6.
Do you? I mean, I gave it a 6. You
I don't
gave
know why
it.
I was thinking 5.
I gave
I
it a
liked the
6.
sand at the end. I thought that was really a cool tie-in. It's one last thing to throw in, but no, I think this one would be a 7 for me.
Okay.
I think the first one was a 6.
I think we're all pretty close to the same page.
Yeah.
So I do have a little bit of cool trivia on this one.
Bring it.
Joseph Ruskin, who played the genie in The Man in the Bottle, also provided the voiceover of Casmit the alien in To Serve Man.
No way.
Yeah, so the guy, the weird-faced genie, is the voice of the alien that we hear in
Interesting.
To Serve Man, which is one of my top 5 favorite episodes. How many times am I going to say that in season 2? A lot of
I want
times.
to watch that one again. I love that one.
Tell me if you noticed this, though, Dad. The Nazi symbol on the flag is reversed. Did you notice that they reversed it? However, the symbol on Arthur Castle's sleeve is correct, as Adolf Hitler used it as an SS. Did you notice that the...
Okay, I noticed that the SS symbol was not on the lieutenant. I noticed that immediately. It wasn't the SS. It was a different symbol. But I'm also wondering, and I've never... All I know is that when you take camera shots, it does reverse things.
See, absolutely.
So
And you
I
have
am
to play on that.
wondering, I thought about this at the time, I'm wondering if that swastika, because nowadays you can't even show a swastika.
You can if it's a parody or something, but you're totally right.
Okay,
You can't...
So I'm wondering if it was just the camera reversing it by itself.
It could be.
Or if they were doing that so as not to make positive.
Yeah.
Because how can you make positive if Hitler
not to really
taking
show it.
cyanide?
Well, here's why I doubt
But I
that
did
one
notice
because
that.
there's about
I think that's a positive.
90 other episodes in the Twilight Zone involving Nazis,
And they show it.
and it's always correct.
Yeah.
I think that this could have been a camera. You know what I'm thinking about it? Maybe it
it
was
under
a
goofs? It could
maybe
have
it
been
was a
under
camera
goofs.
thing. I don't know. It's under the trivia. So I don't know. I thought it was an interesting episode and pretty fun watch. Yeah.
So far in season 2, what have we got in episode 1 and 2? World War II
Both of them.
stories.
Yep, absolutely.
It is under the goose.
It
It
is?
says that it's backwards compared into his arms. The one on the arms is an accurate Nazi symbol, but the one on the flag is backwards or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting.
How's everybody's drink
And
level? I see.
and in this one, Hitler didn't have the mustache; he had to go.
Okay, so a couple of
Reversed
things
it.
before we move on to the
Mutton
next
chops.
one. I didn't want to keep talking to you because I talk too much on these things. I realized after re-listening, I way interrupt too much. I have a couple of things on this one. So first of all, the scene of them giving away the money is one of the most annoying, gut-wrenching scenes I've ever seen.
I actually hate
Because
that scene.
I would be so generous if I won money. I can't even tell you. Like, read my thoughts. I would give away so much of that money to my friends and family and the Jimmy and shit like that, right? You know this about me. I would be like that. But I would just be giving it away in stacks of cash. Watching them give that away annoyed me to like the deepest thing. Unless it was stacks of $1 bills.
Well,
Not
and
that
what
immediate
brought
either,
all
too.
of
That
these
was quick.
slime bag beggars into the store?
Oh,
The
just-
store didn't have any customers.
Okay, am
during
I
this whole
wrong?
thing, and all of a
The
sudden
lady
there's
who
10
brought
people.
the vase, she was there
She
getting
was
money,
one of
right?
those coming back getting more money.
I was annoyed by that.
I
mean,
didn't notice that.
I
The
did.
lady that gave them.
Yes,
And
and,
actually,
I was annoyed
They
by
gave her
that.
more money. Remember, he handed her some and said, "Here, and here's some more."
It was kinda
There's one-
like,
there's
thanks
that
for the
old bag.
genie.
He gave twice the amount.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was her.
And I'm annoyed by that because she literally just said basically in a sad old lady way
I screwed
that
you.
she scammed them.
Yeah.
I just found this on the street. I just needed money. I don't care. I need a buck.
Yeah.
Obviously, she said it in a sadder way.
Unless-
but still, you
unless
don't
the-
get money for that.
Unless the genie lied and she actually had the bottle and she got screwed beforehand. If
Another
she
story.
That would
if
be
she had
cool,
it,
but
that would be
I doubt
which is
it.
why I think that the genie saying that 100-year thing is fake because the way that the bottle gets filled back and put in the trash again makes me feel like it's a continuous cycle. Okay.
Right.
So that's
Why
my-
wouldn't it just fix itself in 100 years?
Yeah. Okay, so Dad, you and I have talked about this on the show a lot of times. From selling your soul to getting wishes, it always seems like there's a catch and you cannot win, right?
Right.
So watching this made me nuts because if you make the very by the way, there's a bit of trivia. The 4 wishes thing, they added because everyone's first wish is a mistake. So to make it more compelling, they added a 4th wish. I thought that was an interesting
very
thing
cool. Yeah.
because
I
you
like
can't
that.
tell a really good. You can't do it the story the same way with 3 wishes. It doesn't work.
So in my case, I'd get like 15 wishes.
Yeah, no shit, right? Okay, so here was my observation / opinion is after the first wish, think about it, you guys, real quick in your heads. You get these wishes, right? And the first wish is a test wish, which, by the way, is my favorite part of the story because there is no caveat to having a piece of glass broken. The worst thing that could happen, it gets broken again, right? The second one was for money, and it clearly shits in their face. Wouldn't your third wish be like, okay, wait a minute. This time I want $1 million cash free. No, tax.
After-
Right.
after taxes.
post taxes.
Think of every loophole possible by that point.
I wouldn't. Okay, so that's what I would have done. So listening and watching this, I was like, no. You figured out the loophole. Learn it. You have 2 more chances, and if the next one still screws you, you can try to work it again.
Yes, as 3 people sitting around these microphones who have just paid their taxes.
No
last
shit,
month.
exactly.
So yes, we're primed to that. but a lot of
That's what
people
I
are
would have
gonna
done.
think
It made
about
me
that.
it made me nuts watching that though. I'm like, dude, just do it again, but do it right. You know, like get it right this time. That
Well-
made me crazy.
And the fact that the genie gave them $1 million falling out of the ceiling, if they just have kept their trap shut, they obviously spread the word and told people in the neighborhood, "We've got money.
Dude,
come on in."
that's my second
Keep your
point.
mouth shut. They
You-
would have never had the tax man come in.
Here's my second point is they were already charitable to every fucking person in the Bronx,
I
right?
gave her $1. Move on, lady.
Dude, do it again. This time don't give away shit. That means the tax guy comes in and still takes away your money, and now you got to keep that $60K that you just gave away to these greedy people next door. I'm like, no, that's what I would have done. And I'm just like, it made me crazy. But I had to say, the way that the camera showed Hitler from the back before you realized it was Hitler gives me the chills, because you see it and you hear the war sounds in the background. You see
the bombs
you
going
see
off
the
in
Nazi
the circle.
flag. You see the back of him, and the way he dramatically, and if you look it up on IMDb, it's literally the little profile picture. He dramatically turns to the camera
I love
before it
that.
goes to the break, and he's got the little Hitler mustache, and he's got the haircut, and you're like, oh my God.
Yep.
I was so floored by the idea that the genie literally gave him exactly what he wanted and put him as Hitler, because Hitler met every single bit of that criteria. Genius story
That
writing.
reveal is
twist,
what
man.
made it
That's the
creepy.
twist.
That
Yep.
reveal of him going, "I'm Hitler," and turning
Yeah.
around was very.
It was
Obviously,
such a
this
good turn.
wasn't the genie's first rodeo.
Oh my God, no way. This guy
Well,
gets
that's
off
why
on this.
He
This
kept
guy-
saying no tricks, but then he literally puts him in the one. I say one. The one situation of Hitler being the bunker right before he kills himself. You could have put him in any situation as Hitler.
Yeah.
But he chose the bunker.
Yeah, right before. And I like how the guy goes, here, this is what Ava's going to take too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh, good old Ava. How's she doing?
how is she? Great times. Oh, well, anyway,
Very good.
this was a solid episode. It was solid. It wasn't the best. It definitely wasn't the worst. But this was, I think, a step up. Leading up to our third episode. Does anyone need a refill? I am getting close, but I think we're good.
I'm good.
Excuse me. That was horrible, but also it goes to the show. All
Brought
right.
to you by Alka-Seltzer.
Oh, gross. I'm sorry I burped on air. All right. Sarah's already
right.
laughing.
No, I just thought of something else to answer what you just said. I'm going to keep it to myself. Okay.
That's how we do things. We have jokes and we don't share them.
That's how we roll here.
My episode 3, is called Nervous Man in a $4 Room. It aired October 14th, 1960. It was directed by Douglas Hayes and written by Rod Serling Fox.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Would you like me to read the open narration first?
Yes, ma'am. Please do.
This is Mr. Jackie Rhodes, age 34, which, by the way, rough 34.
I told you, this is what I'm
Callback.
saying.
This
They
is a
have not
callback.
got ages
That
right on
man
any
is
of these
not
episodes.
There are
34.
two things that they don't get right on here. Ages and military uniforms. They are absolutely clueless on this. And that's
When
the weird
they-
thing is because Rod Serling was in the freaking military.
Yeah, when they said 34, I'm like, that's a rough 34. Sorry, Jackie Rhodes. This is Mr. Jackie Rhodes, age 34, and where some men leave a mark on their lives as a record of their fragmentary existence on Earth, this man leaves a blot, a dirty, discolored blemish to document a cheap and undistinguished sojourn amongst his betters. But what you're about to watch in this room is a strange and mortal combat between a man and himself. For in just a moment, Mr. Jackie Rhodes, whose life has been given over to fighting adversaries, will find his most formidable opponent in a cheap hotel room that is in reality the outskirts of the Twilight Zone.
Okay, so by the way, listening to her do that, it's the intro of our show. Like listening to your quiet narration. You are our speaker. You're our official announcer. I love it. It's so cool to hear it.
And Diet Coke.
Yeah, and Diet Coke. Andy, shout out.
Yeah.
Paramount Plus.
That wasn't a cheers. That was a high five to
on,
my
hold on.
glass.
There we go.
That was a good one.
That was.
I'm pulling up my notes. Sorry. Are we all drinking? Is that what we're doing? Oh, sorry. Okay.
As the true leader of the show, I
clinking
am.
of the ice is
I am
the
bone
best.
dry.
This is like an ASMR.
Then I say that we take a small break.
This is what I said.
Let's come back.
Uh-oh.
Hold on, I'm gonna pause.
Did I
it.
butcher the beginning? Is that why?
No, because I want to refill.
Refills.
Oh, okay.
It's
All right,
refill
hold on a
time.
second. I'm gonna see if this pause works.
This episode of the Highlight Zone is brought to you by God damn it. This episode of the Highlight Zone is brought to you by Save the Date by Sarah for all your hair and makeup needs. Hair getting a bit messy? Sick of waking up with that rat's nest on your head? Reminding you that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Cut.
All right, so we're back from getting a refill real quick.
Well, two of us.
I was going to say some
Two
of us. I knew that
Here
was
we
coming.
go. Yeah, here we go.
I also don't respond to Yahtzee challenges.
No, you're
gonna
apparently
get
you're
that
just
out of the
butchering
way.
this whole thing. Hey, where's your crackers? We got refills and Sarah
I
got
went
like
back.
Sarah got
Wait,
like
did you want
crisp
them?
And I
crackers.
said, you know what? This is just like Yahtzee. Yes. I say yes to
You
your
said
question.
what snack? And I said it's a cracker
And I said
pretzel.
yes.
And there
And I
were
said yes.
no answers. Hold on.
And then-
Oh my
and
God,
then-
she's literally
You're gonna
taking the
yell
headphones
And then
off.
what she did is she bent
has a
down,
blanket.
She bent down and she scratched Roger's ears. That was it. I do not smell. Well, I probably do smell. I take that back.
I think
But that's That's personal.
You know, the best part is we're going to have her redo this whole thing when she gets back here. I do love these goddamn drinks. These are so drinkable. Do you remember Andy drinking this for the first time and he was like, God, this is fresh. Oh, wait.
Yes, okay, we have proof.
Oh, my God.
Proof of beverage.
All right, wait.
Are you lit? Are
you just making, are you doing the whole thing or are you just pouring vodka?
Good, that's how that works.
So yours is just more vodka heavy iced tea, right? Got it. And here comes her Ritz. Actually, they're not Ritz. That's not true. Oh, they're not Kellogg's. Hey, get out of here. Our dog thinks that he is going to get snacks now. All right, hold on. Reposition yourself.
What's this section sponsored by?
So the
Diet Coke still.
these are half pretzel,
Yeah,
half cracker.
very good. Thank you very much.
Salty, buttery, delicious. Oh God, I love that sound. Wait,
Hold
ready?
on.
Oh, that is so good.
This is why I spent the money on a good audio setup, is so we can hear you crunching on crackers.
Dude, ASMR is very big these days.
mean this?
Wait, ready?
Ah, yeah.
I wish this was on video. She just like double fisted crackers into the microphone.
Okay, now it's just getting gross.
Okay.
It's funny as all right. All right, Sarah. Did you already read the thing you did,
I
right?
You did.
Do you want to do it again?
Take my swig.
One of the things we do here on the Highlight Zone is repeat shit over and over and over. Actually, that was just Justin and me. I think re-listening to them, Justin and I repeated stuff like 90 times. He's like my favorite drinking buddy because we're on the same page. We just, anywhere you go, we'll drink and forget what the hell we did. And that one, we literally repeated everything. All right, Sarah.
Shoes are. So let's just pretend that I just read it. Okay, so this one is a man, Jackie Rhodes,
No shit.
who loves crackers.
And Diet Coke.
He is a very sweaty man.
Yes.
He's a very
I
sweaty
love that
man.
you said that.
Yes.
I can't get over the moistness of his forehead. It's just too much. Which I like about this episode because you can feel the cheap hotel room's no AC on his skin. But he's in a hotel room. He's waiting for a phone call. He keeps looking out the window. He's very twitchy. He's waiting for this George. And George. He says it. It's in the trivia about 26 times in the beginning of the episode. And we find out that he's waiting to hear about a job. He is down on his luck. He doesn't make a lot of money. He relies on small, odd jobs of basically being a scammer or doing whatever he can to make ends meet. So he's not a good person, per se.
He works for a gangster.
Yeah, George. A very twisty mustached type of gangster, George. And he finally hears from him while he's waiting in his cheap hotel room and wants to hear about a job. And then George comes up to the hotel room and he tells him, I can't do small jobs anymore. I can't do these ones that I'm going to get caught. I'm pretty much on probation. I've been caught. 3 strikes, I'm out. I can't do this. George responds with, you want the big time? We'll give you the big time. And he tells him, you have to kill this old man who runs a bar on whatever street. And he starts to freak out when he sees the gun, which he asks for this, but I guess he didn't really ask for murder per se, but he did ask for the big time because, I mean, you're going to get caught anyways. So he starts to really have a moral dilemma with this whole thing. So George leaves. He pretty much tells him, if you don't do this, then you're out.
Well, he says if you don't do it, you're dead.
He says if
Yes.
you don't do it, then you're dead. So this
Yes.
guy's clearly like a leader of some sort of mafia group or what?
Yeah, he is a gangster,
and he
correct.
says what this old guy does. He's a shopkeeper that won't pay the protection money, and because
Yeah.
he won't pay, the other shopkeepers on the street don't pay him, so they need to take this guy out as an example. So this is truly a hood. George is a hood.
Yeah.
Our guy,
Gangster of the streets.
Our guy is a second lieutenant to the hood, and he simply waits every night.
Yeah, he's just
What's
a
my next
commander,
assignment
soldier.
for the hood? Yeah.
Just waiting for the next job. So anyways, the whole rest of it is, like you said, like a one-man show, which I really enjoy because I think
Yep.
having your big break as an actor of getting one role and kind of playing 2 people and having a split personality basically. So anyways, he's in the hotel room and he's going through a moral dilemma. He starts talking to himself in the mirror, and in the mirror is his second personality, which is a much more confident personality.
Yeah.
And it's the, what are you doing this? You don't need to be doing this. We're better than this. What are you doing? You're just a mess. We could have had a wonderful life with that woman. We could have been married with kids, and you screwed it up by getting yourself caught and going to jail, and you missed your opportunity. So he has, the whole episode is him fighting with himself. And I like that back and forth of the nervous Nelly, sweat, drenched, what am I doing, biting my nails, freaking out. And then you have the calm, cool, collected, not moist, very dry man in the mirror.
Not moist.
I'm so glad you clarified that.
Very powdered, dry man in the mirror who's calm and collected.
Dry man in the mirror. Okay.
That sounds like a song.
So he's fighting with himself
He's fighting with himself.
in a reflection.
Now it's a reflection, so we're to assume that it is internal, but he's projecting to a mirror. So, he's going through what could have been and why he should do it, why he shouldn't do it. I got to do it. I have to do it. I'm going to die if I don't. I have to, but I really don't know if I should have. I could have had a better life, blah, blah, blah. And the guy in the mirror, who's his confident self, was like, you shouldn't do this. You could have a better life. Get out of here. Let's do a better thing. Let's be a different person.
We could have
I
had
could have
Jackie
done this.
Reardon. We could have had that girl. And she left.
Was that her name? That's her name? Yeah, that one. So
God, you
his
take
name
good
was-
notes.
His
You
name
take
was
good
Jackie,
notes, sir.
man. We could have had
There's
double
gotta be
Jackies.
Keep talking.
So, the man in his confident self in the mirror is telling you, I could have done this better.
Janie Reardon. I
Okay,
apologize.
I was like, I think it was a Jane. Unless they're both
It was
Jackies.
Janie Reardon.
They're going to have Jackie Juniors all over the place. And the man in the mirror who's more confident in his confident self is, I could have done this better. You're screwing this up. I could have done this better. You go, you think you can do this better? So they're going back and forth, and he's starting to lose his mind a bit. He's like, I'm just going to do it. But then he's like, oh, you think you can do it better? And then he moves the mirror and he goes, then come on out. And he flips it.
Okay,
and
wait,
it's
hold on a
flipping.
second, though. So this is one of those mirrors that's attached to
A dresser.
a dresser.
It's a vanity. It's more of
it's
a vanity,
Well
correct.
said. Where it can spin upside down, which is one of my favorite recent animation things that they did on this. And I don't physically understand how they did it. You and I talked about before how they made the guy look like he was aging. They used red lighting on it. This transition was super cool because every rotation
He
of the
got
mirror,
closer, yeah.
it got closer and closer and closer and closer. And it was scary. I get the chills right now. It was really intimidating. Like watching
Right.
him get closer in a spinning mirror
Yeah,
is cool.
so you don't really know, but he does, which I also really enjoy. He does get closer and closer. Now, before I get to the twist, I just want to mention, I love the intro, Rod Serling's intro, because that camera angle from above.
Talk about that. That to me was the coolest thing.
I love that.
Would that be, maybe you guys would know better than I do, would that be one of the first that he did what had to have been a green screen that he did his intro in front of, correct?
Well, I think they just filmed it from the ceiling and they just used that on a screen behind him.
That's what I'm saying. So
Same
it
thing.
wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't
Yes.
like Rod Serling
He's-
doing an intro with
This
like
was
a
the first
table
time
or
he's
sitting
ever
in a
tweaked
room.
Yes.
His intro.
His
Yes.
background was completely fake,
Yes.
and I thought that was really interesting to watch him step in to a scene that he wasn't actually in,
Right.
which I thought was really cool.
Very. I thought you were gonna bring this up afterwards.
Sorry.
No, I don't care. That's super cool. But anyway.
So, anyways, okay, no, then the mirror twist, and he comes closer and closer and closer. Every turn of the mirror, he gets closer and closer, and then cuts to George entering the hotel room because he did tell him he was going to meet him there after he did the job. Which, did we do the job? Did he not do the job? Enter George. George comes in. He sees Jackie, quotes Jackie with his head down.
from
and
behind,
covering.
which is so cool because
and
you don't
we
know.
we can see him. I can tell you from an observer, he's not very sweaty. I'm
said.
gonna tell you, there was some flags raised. So then you can tell as he lifted his head, it was the confident Jackie, who is no longer Jackie, but I believe it's not John. Yeah, it is not Jackie Rhodes anymore. It is John Rhodes.
Yep.
Which is the confident persona per se of Jackie Rhodes.
The mirrored version of him has now
Right, his
taken
version.
over.
So he tells him, I quit. I don't want to be a gangster anymore. I'm not working for you. Get the hell out of my motel, my $4 motel room. I don't want any part of it. And he kind of yells at him. He punches him in the face with his left hand. By the way, left hook. Interesting choice. Uppercuts, left hook, gets him out of there, puts him on his ass, kicks him out of the room, and he throws the gun at him and kicks him out.
The
and he goes,
stupidest move ever
Why
made
would he
on
do
any
that?
kind of
Why?
TV
he
episode
had the upper
ever.
hand with the gun.
Who throws
Why?
the gun to the bad guy?
To the boss.
He does take the bullets out.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he does, and then he
What?
throws them in the trash can. He takes
I
the
did not
bullets. He
remember
takes the
seeing that.
bullets.
No, oh man, you
He
were,
takes
you
takes
were
the
very good. Then.
He takes the bullets out of the gun, and then he throws them into a trash can right by the front door. So he throws them an empty revolver, and he took the bullets out and chucked them. But
Oh my
still,
God,
you
that's
don't.
what
Okay,
that
I have
was.
to watch
Yeah, it was
this
the
again
bullets-
because that changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
My score just changed.
Oh no,
Okay.
he takes the bullets out and puts them in the trash can by the door.
I remember that. I did not know that was the bullets. I
Yeah,
didn't
it
see him
was-
take it out of the gun. I just saw
didn't
him
either.
dump
He
something.
emptied the revolver and put him right in his hand, and then he just tossed him by the door. Those were the
Oh.
bullets he threw away. So we
I
didn't throw
saw
him a loaded gun.
take a cup full of something and drop it in the trash. I had
Yeah,
no
it was-
idea
it was
what
the- it was the rounds.
Honestly, I thought it was a glass of the mirror at first, and I was like, "Oh, he broke out and took the glass." But no,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
obviously the mirror was not broken. So then, cut to he kicks out George, tells him to get lost. Very smart to do to a gangster boss. Throws the gun at him. Goes back into the hotel room. Goes back to the reflection, and who do we see in the mirror now? Is the very moist, nervous version of Jackie Rhodes. Now he is in the mirror. So this is a little bit of that ex machina,
That
perhaps.
you stole one of my things.
He's out. Our confident, reflective Jackie Rhodes, John Rhodes, is now out in the real world. He's now put in Jackie Rhodes, who is still biting his nails in the mirror. But I mean,
I love how we called him out on that too. Like, I'm going to be somebody that does this. And I'm not going to sit there biting my nails.
And then he took it out.
He took it
Yeah.
out.
Yep. So a couple of things I wanted to write. Obviously, I said, oh no, I already said all these. But yeah, anyways, a ex machina feel because now the one that was stuck in the mirror is out.
The
He's
alter
out in the real
ego
world.
is now in the body,
Yep.
walking around with the rest of people, and the timid bitch of a guy
Super
is
nervous.
stuck inside whatever the hell it is. Is it a mirror? Is it any reflection? Is it the subconscious?
Is it
Whatever
just
it
a
is.
split personality? Is this
Is
just
it that? Yeah.
Is it a real 2-person thing, or is this a bipolar disorder? I'm going to live my life as the confident one that's going to take over my body from here on out, and I will leave my past nervous one in this motel mirror. I like to think that that's the case. I like the idea of one man choosing one personality to take over from here on out, and to follow that. The acting in this was so well done. It felt like two different people.
It did, and
It
the way
felt
they
like
filmed it
two
was
different.
it was beautiful, right? It looked super good.
It was a lot more tricks and camera work and all of that with one person, not counting George, one person having to play two different people.
And timing,
quickly.
right? And timing, because you had to read your lines as as what's his name, Jamie.
The first one, Jackie.
Talking to
Jackie,
yourself in the mirror, that's
that-
a complex.
So yeah, you'd have
process.
to
You have to
memorize
stare
your
at
lines
yourself.
and then recite them, and then wait
And stare at yourself while
quietly.
saying it.
quietly, timing it out, and then start it again, because you know that you're going to have to record the other side of that. It's a real tough thing to film, and I think that it was done so well. There are a couple of times where you can see that the eyes don't match. I'm just going to be honest, just because they didn't have
lighting was a
CGI.
little off, but-
for this time, I would say this was almost groundbreaking, and if I was watching this originally, I would have lost my mind. I would have been like, this is freaking terrifying and also super cool.
See, now you guys are both smarter than me because I bought in completely, and it is the Twilight Zone and it is the 60s, that if we buy into the premise of the Twilight Zone, this is a second image in a mirror that uses that as a
second
way
person.
to communicate as a second person. I did not see it as an alter ego but as a second personage of
person.
the same person.
That's okay.
That's exactly how I saw it from beginning to end.
Which is why I like this. I cannot tell. I've tried to see it from both angles of, is this one person who has a split personality, or is this actually two people? I can't choose. I really can't. I think that's why I like it so much.
So I
So
go
wait,
ahead.
what's your rating?
Oh,
You don't just have it. You don't know it.
no. I'll give it I can't do half points. 8.
Oh, that's what I gave it. I
Okay.
gave this an 8.
Did
What about
anyone
you?
else? Oh, sorry.
Oh, wait.
If the gun is loaded, I give it a 6. If in fact the gun is
It's not-
empty,
it's
then
empty.
I give it a 7.
Okay, so one whole
Yeah,
point
yeah,
on
yeah.
idiotic
agree.
premise.
I
I've got
agree.
notes that say if this dude literally threw a loaded gun to the dude that's threatening
yeah.
to kill him, he's done.
It's
It'd be stupid theatrics of like, here's your stupid gun. Yeah, I agree.
it's unloaded. I'm certain it's not. Yeah, so
I do remember him putting that stuff in the trash. I didn't know what it was. But
Yeah.
that's kind of funny.
So I adored this episode. As a matter of fact, I remembered it from a long time ago, but I didn't remember the twist ending of it. Rewatching it, this has a very high rating, and 8's pretty damn good. The theatrics of him acting to himself was awesome. He was so good at doing it. I also love the idea of, first of all, Rod uses the thing. He says it again in this one, a small little man, which, as if you have read his book and all that other stuff, it's a very demeaning term.
Yeah.
He doesn't like small little men. He wanted people to be their most that they could be and full of themselves, which is it's easier said than done. But he calls him that again and again. And, it's one of those things where I love the idea that this small little man has a subconscious. And whether it's that subconscious that comes through, whatever the hell happens, I loved him punching him in the face. The one problem I have with this is what I was telling Sarah before she told me to shut up earlier, is it's like the Family Guy. When Family Guy made fun of Stand By Me. Because in Stand By Me, the kids stand up to what's his name?
As if it won't have repercussions.
As there's no repercussions. If you're going to stand up and just punch a mafia guy or whatever the hell this guy is,
You don't
think
just
he's just
quit.
he's going to leave and go, oh, I'm going to leave this guy alone. Shit's coming back. But the thing
He's
that's
going down. He's getting his Thompson submachine gun coming,
And he's
back
coming
up,
right back
and
up.
he's killing
the good
the guy in
news.
the next minute.
The
good
You
news-
don't just leave. You don't quit the mafia and put your 2 weeks notice in.
Right,
You just
exactly.
don't.
Like, oh, guys, we can't deal with him. He punched me, so we're leaving. That's kind of a loophole. Not a loophole, but a plot hole. But it's also not, because I kind of like the idea that the new version, which is John, right? John?
Yeah.
John's a badass, and John's not afraid. And John's going to fix shit. And I kind of love the idea that he came through.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I found it quite
Well, John knows that he didn't sign a non-compete.
with
So
himself.
That's why he quit.
So stupid.
Because George can't come after him.
Is this
He's
another? Is he unionized too?
Is he in the
fine.
union?
This goes this goes back to that same old thing. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Aliens, whatever. They're all unionized.
What do you think? What do your notes say?
My notes focused that damn gun thing, and I'm going to go back tonight and watch this episode again because I missed the unloading of the gun because I thought that was probably the stupidest thing ever to
I
happen.
was paying attention the whole time. I did not realize those were bullets. I
So
saw him
I-
dump it in the trash. It didn't click.
And I truly thought, because this is the Twilight Zone, that it was a physical second personage in the mirror.
Well, I will tell
and
you-
I loved that. I
will
believe
tell
that
you,
because
you
of
will
this.
be right. You are right because the closing narration
Thank you.
does pertain to it being two people.
Go for it.
I will get to that in a second. 1 second. I do have some good trivia. There's
So
only
do I.
like
Are you
4
gonna read the
things.
trivia?
Of course. He does say George 56 times, 20 in the first 2 minutes of the movie episode. The other thing I thought was interesting is that
They never
is
say Kelly
40
once.
Never.
See,
How
this is
dare
why I'm
they?
pissed.
How dare
There
they?
has not been a Kelly yet.
And if they did, it was to a woman, wasn't it?
Fuck them all.
Yeah, throw my paper in the air. The guy
about
who
that.
plays Jackie, Joe Montel, is 44.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
10 years older than what they say. Why even make him 34?
why say it? Just
Why?
say he's my age. It doesn't
Just
matter.
say
Like,
he's a man down on his luck looking for odd jobs.
Just watch every
Why bring
episode.
age into it?
Everyone is under 30. I swear to God.
He was
They're-
in junior high. No, that's they said he was 34.
he was a junior.
The man who composed the music for this episode, Jerry Goldsmith, also did Chinatown with
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson. Thank you. There we go.
Do you just thank me for doing nothing? I just sat there staring at you.
No, I was talking to myself in the mirror.
Cool.
It
You were
was,
talking-
it was my
yeah.
confident self. The confident self is here. The
Thank you,
moist
Steve.
self is
Thank
out
you.
there.
Hey.
I appreciate that.
Cheers to you, sir. I did. I
Okay,
just
that's
sat here.
pretty much all the good trivia. But okay, so
That's good
I'll do I'll do the closing narration.
Close it out, girl.
Exit Mr. John Rhodes, formerly a reflection in a mirror, a fragment of someone else's conscience, a wishful thinker made out of glass, but now made out of flesh, and on his way to join the company of men. Mr. John Rhodes, with 1 foot through the door and 1 foot out of the Twilight Zone.
God damn it. That's right.
See?
Man.
Made out of flesh. So he was a separate person that switched out.
I love that idea. It's
Very Ex Machina,
It's
which is
very
a
Twilight
very
Zone-ish.
scary
Come on,
thought.
that's
yeah. It's also super scary. I don't know. To me, it's scary to know that you could be that easily swapped out. I don't know.
I've taped over my mirrors for years.
Son
Haven't
of
you?
a. That's why every mirror in your house is taped up.
Damn straight. That's why I look the way I look. That's why we record this podcast.
By the way, I had this cold 3 weeks ago, and I still have very limited lung capacity. It's
You gotta give up
ridiculous.
smoking.
Oh my God, never. Okay, so we'll wrap up this episode.
This episode. Hey, did anyone else think that the guy in my episode sounded like Andy doing an accent? Because all I could hear is Andy doing an accent.
Okay, listen to me. I hear Andy's voice in TV commercials now.
I think
Sponsored by
that's a-
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious,
I
Dad.
think
There's a
that's
commercial. Go ahead.
That's like a compliment to Andy. He can do so many accents that he's so many people that we hear on TV. That guy sounded just like Andy doing an accent that I couldn't think of anything else.
Well-
So, do you think Andy's reflection is actually named Andrew? And he's Andy? His reflection
No,
is
I think
Andrew,
it's
and he's
something
way
like-
confident. He
like
quits
Herbert
work early.
or Alan or something like that.
Wait, so what would your reflection name be?
It wouldn't be Kelly
It would
because that
well,
would cause
it would
so much
be,
confusion.
It has to be. Is John even close to Jackie?
Close
Close
enough.
They're Jays, but it's not like Robert and Bobby.
But now
you
that
know?
we've dedicated this episode to Andy, I guess, sort of in the last
This
couple
sounds
of
like
minutes,
in memoriam. This
I
is
just
for Andy.
loved
in memory of.
the Andy pre Long Island iced tea and the Andy post Long Island iced tea.
Well, okay, so I was going to try to bring this up and show you, but I'm losing his information. I cannot find it to give him a plug. But Dad, I got into an interesting conversation on Facebook this week. So this week was the Twilight Zone Day, which we now know is May
May
10th. May 11th. It's May 11th every
Right.
year.
Sandy's birthday.
It is.
In
It's like
honor
her birthday's
of
on
It's
the 10th.
incredible.
It's the 11th, yeah.
And they show the Twilight Zone on Sci-Fi with commercial breaks, but they show it for 24 hours. So the official Twilight Zone page posted that they were doing something. So I posted a link to our show, and one guy, and I can't remember his name, and I feel really bad, but
Jackie Rhodes.
shut up. And he goes, oh man, we love this episode too, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, apparently in walking distance, they have, remember we talked about this, in New York where Rod Serling is from, they have a gazebo that has that thing. And he goes, yeah, we go there all the time. And I'm like, wait, you've been there? And he goes, yeah, we go there a lot. It's not that far from where we live. And I said, do you have any pictures? And so he goes, yeah, check it out. That picture is from a random gazebo carousel in upstate New
shit.
York where the Twilight Zone thing is. And look,
How cool is that?
those are the little horses. But look at that. That's a mural of Rod Serling right over there. And he goes, we would really like it if you guys came up. It's a really fun thing that Twilight Zone people come up and they
What
hang
state
out
is
around
that
here.
in again?
You mean
New York.
So we
New
go
York.
up there and
Are you
put
kidding
on
me?
a-
This is what I'm talking about. I told him, I'm like, if my dad and I ever come up, I'm telling you. And he goes, let me know because we'll give you a tour. Can
we do it
I
on the
cannot
carousel?
find his name.
Going up and down on the
Yeah,
carousel.
I can see us on horses
Yeah.
going up and down doing this for an hour with Long Island iced teas. That's going to be fun.
That's a good
How cool is that though? So
That is
we
very
talked
cool.
about that earlier, and I just thought it was super badass. But we'll wrap up this episode with a kind of a teaser for the next one. It's not really a teaser. I don't know why I said it like that. The next 3 episodes are wildly fascinating. Okay, so we have episode 4, 5, and 6 of season 2. The Thing About Machines, The Howling Man, and one of the real top 5. It's my favorite episode. Actually, it's my 1.5. It's slightly behind another one. The Eye of the Beholder, which is a very, 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 very famous episode of The Twilight Zone. And our guest host for that week is Sierra Belinsky, Andy's wife, owner of Face Bar. She's an esthetician, so it works out super well that she's going to break down The Eye of the Beholder. She's never seen it. She doesn't even know what
way.
it is. This is the
Okay,
episode
wait,
that
first
got...
of all, what is an esthetician? Because I used to build Estes rockets. Is she a
No,
rocket builder?
cut it out.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
that'd be pretty cool.
What is an esthetician?
It's skincare. So they do facials. They help with anything that has to do with the
So
skin.
not only will she be here to help us on the podcast, we're going to come out with shiny,
you
new,
may,
clean skin.
yeah.
Dude, she's going
I
to tell
love
you
this.
one thing over, and she's going to tell you SPF. You need to use SPF.
It is. You
By the
have
way,
to.
have you
It's
ever
very
used
Sierra,
SPF?
it's too late for me at 67.
Shit,
I'm
it's too
done,
late
my
for me
dude.
at 42.
Too late. No, it's not.
That's what she says. She goes, it's never too late for your
spray
skin.
Steve down with SPF. He refuses, and I will still do it.
Well, I've had
because I
multiple
care.
skin cancers already, so I'm on a roll. So
Well, anyway, the point is the next episode has 3 massively important Twilight Zone episodes to review. And it's just funny that Sierra gets to do the
Yeah.
one that's about faces.
Yeah.
And which
It's
one am I
wild.
doing, by the way?
We'll figure that out later.
Okay.
You can choose because the Howling Man
Haven't
is
seen.
really good, but the one that I like a lot is the one about the machines, which is I don't know.
You pick them.
I'll take machines. You take Howling Man. I'm excited to hear about it, and then Sierra will take Eye of the Beholder. So everybody,
You got it.
Again, thank you for listening, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. Do you have anything else to add? There we go. I knew you were going to crunch something. I'm going to finish
for having me.
my drink on air. Dad, you are too, right?
To all you zoners out there, we love having you listen to us. It's great being here. Hopefully, you've had some fun with this.
I'll
On this-
tell you, this last shot I put in definitely put me in the Twilight Zone.
Oh my God! Did you have that queued up right when you poured it?
No.
Yes, you did.
I will tell you, check this out. You can get the Eye of the Beholder mask,
Oh my God!
Halloween mask for $50 online.
That is way too creepy.
It's
that is
terrifying.
really a
God.
scary
It's
mask.
terrifying.
He works for me. That,
Ah!
that guy.
Oh, wait, I can't
Don't
name drop,
share
can I? Okay, I was about to name drop, but I won't. I got 2 names I could throw up. But
Yep,
anyways,
exactly. Don't mention names.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
A good time, right? Do you think
Yeah.
you'll listen to this episode? I guarantee
Probably
you.
not.
No, I guarantee you won't listen to this
Probably
one
not.
because you don't listen to these before. But
But-
also, you never listen to yourself
I
on
do
air.
not like my own voice. I hate
Yeah,
my
you
voice.
always say
I have
that.
I want nothing to do with it.
You
Yeah.
should try talking into a mirror because maybe the
Oh.
alter.
My confident version would have a way cooler voice,
See?
like Scarlett Johansson and
We've
her.
learned something from this episode.
Yeah, I want like a
What is-
Scarlett Johansson voice.
What is your mirror version wear to bed? I'm curious about that.
What do you mean?
I'm curious. Like
So the mirror one would be more confident, right?
yeah, I kind of want to. I kind of just want to meet the confident one,
Oh, you don't like this one?
not the one
The one
riddled
that
with
sits here
anxiety.
And on that
the one
note,
that eats
Ah, come
crackers.
on.
sponsored by Diet
Ah,
Coke.
nicely done. I
Paramount
made a really
Plus.
bad joke, and
We
my
love
dad
having
just
ya.
bailed me out.
All
Well,
Geek,
yeah, let's-
All Geek Network.
what a true
by the
dad-
way.
All
Things
things
geek.
geek.
All Things Geek.
Brought
we
to you
love
by
having you put
crackers
us on
and
the airwaves.
pretzels and unionizations.
Long Island Aussies, long live.
You just
the
pulled
Long
my
Island iced
parachute
tea.
for me. I loved it. It's like I was falling out of a plane. I couldn't find the chute. And my dad
Steve,
came out. I was
remember,
like, I got you, buddy.
Remember the 4 things: arch, look,
Reach, pull, baby. You bet. I remember that shit.
What is that?
It's
Is
a
that
skydiving thing.
Oh,
It's
I
a
thought that was
skydiving
Semper
thing.
Paratus thing. All
It's
right.
No,
Sort
it's
of
a
is.
skydiving thing. But
Well,
anyway.
you were always prepared, so I mean.
Semper Paratus. Nicely
Ayo,
done.
ay.
So anyway, thank you again, Steve and Chris. Go listen to the rest of our shows on the All Things Geek network. The network. Subscribe. But also, if you want to watch all of these episodes with us, Dad,
Bring it on Paramount
Plus.
Paramount.
baby.
This whole thing has now become you as the Paramount Plus
I
guy.
am.
Pay
Man.
us at this point.
That's right. Well, anyway, thank you everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers. Wait, no, you gotta clink into the like.
Okay, here.
That one
Did that
sounded
work?
pretty. Did you just okay?
No, it doesn't sound as cool.
Not on here. You can borrow my cup.
Oh,
Clink.
yes. Thank you. Ready? Say it again.
The final clink.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here. We'll
Cheers.
see you on the next episode of
Get-
the Highlight Zone.
Get lit. Ayo.
She clinks my own glass against
I
hers.
almost broke it. That was pretty.
Oh my
hardcore.
God! This
got it.
almost just was adjusting.
I got it.
Okay. Thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Where is this place and when? The answer is, it doesn't make any difference.
Can you say eggs?